Welcome back to the video classes, dear students. In this class, we shall discuss about the MCQs on transport in plants. First question: what does a concentration gradient? When does a concentration gradient exist? Option 1: when membranes rupture. 2: when solute concentrations are low. 3: when solute concentration differ on either side of a membrane. And 4: when solute concentration is high. So when does a concentration gradient exist? See, when we take a membrane, when we take up two systems, and on these systems, the concentration of the solute should vary. Say for example, if in this system we have taken concentrated solution and in this pure water, so here the number of solutes will be more present here when compared to the pure water. So like this, we should take the solute concentration different on either side of a membrane. So then only the concentration gradient exists. So option 3. Next, pumps are related to options: A 1 simple diffusion, 2 facilitated diffusion, 3 osmosis, and 4 active transport. So pumps are related to active transport because in active transport the molecules are pumped against the concentration gradient. So against the concentration gradient in the sense, if the molecules has to move against the concentration gradient, that is from the region of its lower concentration towards the region of its higher concentration, it requires the presence of membranes. So membrane proteins are present. With the expenditure of energy, there will be the movement of molecules from the region of its lower concentration towards the region of its higher concentration, and hence option 4. Over small distances, substances move by options: 1 diffusion, 2 cytoplasmic streaming, 3 active transport, and 4 all of the above. So over smaller distances, in the sense it may be between the cells or inside the cells. So it may occur due to diffusion also. So diffusion, it is also a small distance transport, whereas cytoplasmic streaming occurs within the cell. So the movement of molecules from one side of the cell towards the other side of the cell. Say for example, during the absorption of water, cytoplasmic streaming occurs inside the cortical cells of the root. And even in active transport, during the absorption of minerals, so the roots, they are involved in the absorption of minerals, right? So during that time, what happens, if this is the root and this is the root here, so here minerals are present in lower quantities in the soil when compared to the roots, but still these roots require more and more number of minerals due to the metabolic processes. And thus in this case, what happens is active transport of these mineral ions takes place into the roots. So it is also a distance of, the minerals are moving over smaller distances, and hence all the above is the option 4. Next, exosmosis takes place when a plant cell is kept in. What do you mean by exosmosis? The movement of water outside the cell. So water will be present inside the cell, so that will be coming out of the cell. That is called as exosmosis. So when does it occur? When a plant cell is kept in. So which kind of solution? Options: 1 hypertonic solution, 2 hypotonic solution, 3 anisotonic solution, 4 non-ionic solution. See, what do you mean by hypertonic solution? Hypertonic solution in the sense concentrated sugar solution or concentrated salt solution. So when we actually, let us look what happens when the cell is kept in all this. See, when we place a cell inside the hypertonic solution, that means, say for example, we have taken sugar solution and inside which we have kept a plant cell. So what happens when we place a cell inside the sugar solution? When we compare the number of solutes present in the sugar solution, the number of solutes, that is sugar molecules, will be present higher in number in case of sugar solution when compared to the cell. And when we look at the water potential, so what do you mean by water potential? It is related to the number of free water molecules present which is not bound to the sugar molecules, right? Okay. So the number of free water molecules will be less in case of hypertonic solution when compared to the cell sap. So inside the cell sap, water concentration will be more. And thus, what happens now? Always water moves from the region of its higher water potential towards the region of its lower water potential, and thus water exists out of the cell, and thus it is called as exosmosis. So, which is the right option? It is hypertonic solution, option A. Next, guttation is mainly due to options 1. Transpiration, 2. Osmosis, 3. Root pressure, 4. Imbibition. See, guttation is mainly due to the root pressure. Okay, option 3. Next, osmosis can be demonstrated by options 1. Potato osmometer, 2. Cobalt chloride paper method, 3. Thistle funnel experiment, and 4. Both 1 and 3. See, osmosis we have demonstrated using potato osmoscope as well as thistle funnel experiment. So, option 1 and 3. Make it as 3. It has printed the 2. So, you make it as both 1 and 3. So, option 4. Next, factors affecting the rate of diffusion are statement 1. Gradient of concentration, 2. Permeability of the membrane, 3. Temperature, 4. Pressure, and 5. Size of the diffusion material. And then options, option 1 and 5 are correct. Option 2, 1, 3 and 5 are correct. 3 only 5 is correct. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 are correct. So which is the right option? Which all the factors affect the rate of diffusion? See, concentration gradient also affects, permeability of the membrane, temperature, pressure as well as size of the diffusion molecule or material, it also affects. So option 4. Next question, which does not affect the rate of diffusion of a substance? Options 1. Electrical charges of the diffusing material, 2. Temperature and concentration gradient, 3. Molecular diameter of the diffusing material, 4. Presence of the other substances in the solution. So here they are asking about the diffusion. So diffusion, which does not affect the rate of diffusion of a substance, they are asking. So in a given material, in a medium, if there are other substances also, it does not matter. So option 4. You are studying transport of certain type of molecules into cell. You find that transport slows down when the cells are poisoned with a chemical that inhibits energy production. Under normal circumstances, the molecules you are studying is probably transported by. So if it is disturbing, then which will be the means of transport? You have to tell. Options 1. Osmosis, 2. Simple diffusion, 3. Facilitated diffusion, 4. Active transport. See, none of these processes gets disturbed, but active transport, it gets disturbed. So option 4. Next, a watermelon has how much water? Option 1. About 10 to 15%, 2. More than 92%, 3. 5 liters, 4. 100%. So how much water it has? More than 92%, option 2. Next, transport over larger distances proceeds through vascular tissues, xylem and phloem is called. Options 1. Transpiration, 2. Translocation, 3. Imbibition, 4. Transformation. So what do we call for that? It is called as translocation, option 2. Next, pure water has water potential which is options 1, 0, 2, negative, 3, high, 4, very low. So pure water has a water potential which is 0. So what is the water potential of pure water? So water potential of pure water is always 0. So of pure water is always 0. Next, the pressure exerted by the protoplasts. See, the pressure exerted by the protoplasts due to the entry of water molecules against the rigid wall is called. What do we call for that? Options 1. Pressure potential, 2. Solute potential, 3. Osmotic pressure, and 4. Turgor pressure. So what do we call for that? So the pressure exerted by the protoplasts. So pressure is exerted by the protoplast against to the rigid cell wall. That means it is nothing but the pressure potential. So that is nothing but the pressure potential. You all know that there will be a pressure which is exerted inside the cell either due to the entry of water or exit of water is known as pressure potential. And as water is entering into the cell, protoplasts are exerting certain pressure against the cell wall, in the sense it is related to the pressure potential. Okay. Next question. When pea seeds and wheat seeds are soaked in water, pea seeds showed more swelling than the wheat. The reason is options 1, cell membrane of pea seed is more permeable. Option 2, presence of less hydrophilic colloids in the wheat grain. 3, imbibition capacity of proteins is more than the starch. 4, cell walls of wheat grains are less permeable. So which is the right option? Imbibition capacity of proteins is more than that of the starch, because proteins, they imbibe more amount of water when compared to the starch, and this option 3. Next, water potential gradient is options 1, the evaporation of water from the leaves. 2, the overall movement of solutes. 3, pressure gradient minus water potential. 4, the overall movement of water. So what do you mean by water potential gradient? It is nothing but the overall movement of water, option 4. What will be the nature of sugar solution if the cell of an epidermal peel of Rio discolor shows plasmolysis? Options 1, hydrophoric. 2nd, hypertonic. 3rd one, isotonic. 4th one, hypotonic. So what will be the nature of the sugar solution, they are asking. So here we have taken some sugar solution, and inside that we have placed a cell of epidermal peel of Rio discolor. And when we place this cell inside this solution, it will discolor Rio. It will be having pink color protoplasts. So it will be having pink color protoplasts. As soon as we place this inside this solution, here this undergoes plasmolysis. That means in which solution does the cells undergoes plasmolysis? If it is kept under hypertonic solution, so it should be hypertonic solution, because water molecules always moves from the region of its higher water potential towards the region of its lower water potential. When sugars are actively transported into a cell, what happens to turgor pressure inside that cell as a result? Option 1, increases because sugar concentration directly affects turgor pressure. 2, no change, sugar concentration has no effect on turgor pressure. 3, increases because water enters and affects turgor pressure. 4, decreases because water exists and affects turgor pressure. See, when sugars are actively transported into the cell, that means active transport is taking place. So what happens to turgor pressure in that cell? So they are asking what happens to the turgor pressure in that particular cell. So in this cell, sugars are actively transported by the utilization of ATP. So what happens to the turgor pressure inside that cell, they are asking. So it increases because water is entering into that and affects the turgor pressure. So option 3. When more and more water, it goes on increasing. So here it increases the turgor pressure also. What do you mean by turgor pressure? The entered water, it applies certain pressure onto the wall, cell wall. So that is called as turgor pressure. Okay. So option 3. A leaf peeling of Tradescantia is kept in a medium having 10% NaCl. After a few minutes, if we observe the leaf peel under the microscope, we are likely to see options 1, entry of water into the cell. 2, exit of water from the cell. 3, diffusion of NaCl into the cell. 4, the cells bursting out. So when we place a leaf peeling of this particular plant in a medium containing 10% salt solution. So here we have taken 10% salt solution. So even we have taken 10% salt solution, as soon as we add this into the water, it dissociates into sodium ions and chloride ions. So as soon as it dissociates, these ions will be bound by the free water molecules, and thus the availability of free water molecules in the solution, it decreases. So what happens now? Now it is likely to be the hypertonic solution. So what happens when we place a cell in hypertonic solution? Exosmosis takes place, and thus option 2 is the right one. Next, pressure on plant cell wall caused by osmotic movement of water is called. Options 1 osmotic pressure, 2 Tergar pressure, 3 tonic pressure, 4 hypertonic pressure. So it is called as osmotic pressure. So pressure on the plant cell wall caused by osmotic movement of water is called as osmotic pressure. Next, a plant cell placed in pure water well. Options 1 becomes more turgid until the pressure potential of cell reaches its osmotic pressure potential. 2 expand until the osmotic potential or solute potential reaches that of water. 3 becomes less turgid until the osmotic potential reaches that of pure water. And 4 become more turgid until the osmotic potential reaches that of the pure water. So a plant cell placed in a pure water well, it becomes more turgid until the pressure potential. So option 1. Next, in plant cell, which ones are important determinants of movement of molecules in or out of the cell? Options 1 cell wall plus tonoplast, 2 cell wall plus cell membrane, 3 cell wall tonoplast plus cell membrane, 4 tonoplast plus vacuolar membrane. So in plant cell, which ones are important determinants of movement of molecules in and out of the cell? So it all depends upon, first, if the molecule has to enter inside the cell, the important determinant is the cell membrane. It will not allow all the substances to move inside. So it is selectively permeable in nature. And when it comes to vacuole, vacuole is covered by, it is surrounded by a layer membrane called as tonoplast. So even this also decides the movement of molecules in or out of that. So option 3. Next question, imbibition is option 1 an active transport, 2 facilitated diffusion, 3 diffusion, 4 primary active transport. What do you mean by diffusion? It is imbibition, it is also a kind of diffusion, and that's option 3. Next, cell walls impregnated with water, repellent, suberin are found in the cells of. So impregnated with, that means cell walls which contain suberin are found in the cells of option 1 pericycle, 2 endodermis, 3 root hairs, 4 tracheids. So it is present in the cells of endodermis, option 2. Which one is the driving force for the process of passive absorption of water in roots? So they are asking for the driving force for the passive absorption, of water in roots. Options 1 root pressure, 2 activity of aquaporins, 3 transpiration in leaves, 4 increase in imbibition pressure in the root cells. So which is the right option? It is due to the imbibition pressure, increase in imbibition pressure inside the root cells. So this is the driving force for the passive absorption of water, and thus option 4. Next, cohesion tension theory of water transport is based on option 1 root pressure, 2 activity of parenchyma to the proximity of conducting vessels and tracheids, 3 activity of phloem, 4 transpiration pull. So it is based on the transpiration pull, option 4, and this transpiration pull is also called as cohesion tension theory. Okay, and then which pathway involves cell wall and intercellular spaces? So they are asking that it will be involving the intercellular spaces. Options 1 vascular pathway, second option protoplast pathway, third one symplast and apoplast. So apoplast, it involves the intercellular spaces as well as cell walls, option 4. So in this pathway, water molecules moves through the intercellular spaces as well as cell walls. Next question, terrestrial plants take up a huge amount of water daily, but most of it is lost to air through. Options 1 photosynthesis, 2 respiration, 3 translocation and 4 transpiration. So it is lost by transpiration. So in the absorbed amount of water, about 99% of the absorbed water is lost in the form of water vapor. So it is lost to air in the form of transpiration, option 4. Next, wilting of plants result from excessive. Option 1 respiration, 2 photosynthesis, 3 absorption, 4 transpiration. So wilting of plants also occurs from the excessive transpiration, from the excessive loss of water. So it occurs option 4. Next, dumbbell shaped guard cells are characteristics of options 1 herbs, 2 dicot leaf, 3 isobilateral leaf and 4 scaly leaves. So dumbbell shape in the sense it is present in monocots. Monocots has isobilateral leaves. So option 3. Which of the following wall of guard cell is thick? Options 1 outer, 2 inner, 3 side wall, 4 all the above. So all the walls. So inner walls of this is thicker in nature, option 2. Next question. Stomatal aperture is measured by options 1 micrometer, 2 photometer, 3 photometer and 4 luxometer. So stomatal aperture in the sense the opening of the stomata is known as stomatal aperture and it is measured by micrometer, option 1. Next, transpiration is an unavoidable evil because options here, option 1 structure of leaf and harmful effect, 2 beneficial and harmful effect, 3 maintenance of turgidity for growth, 4 gaseous exchange for photosynthesis and respiration. Why it is an unavoidable evil? Because it is the only means of gaseous exchange for photosynthesis as well as respiration, and thus option 4. Next question. If there is no net movement of water into a cell from outside medium, the medium is. See what happens when we place a cell in such a medium where there is no net movement of water into the cell. I'll read out the options. Option 1 hypertonic, 2 isotonic to the cell sap, 3 hypotonic and 4 non-ionic. See, when we place a cell inside isotonic in the sense solute potential, water potential both will be same in the cell sap as well as this isotonic solution. Say for example, if 2 water molecules enters into the cell and 2 other water molecules exits out of the cell. So what is 2 minus 2? It is 0. And thus the net movement of water molecules into the cell when it is placed in isotonic solution is always 0. So option 2. Plants obtain their carbon and most of their oxygen from option 1 water in the soil, 2 carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, 3 minerals in the soil and fourth one is all the above. So it will be obtaining from carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. So here it is fourth option, but option 2. Next question. Plants obtain their hydrogen requirement from options 1 water in the soil, 2 minerals in the soil, 3 carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, 4 all the above. See, plants obtain their hydrogen from water in the soil because water is H2O, so it will be obtaining this hydrogen from water. And then most water flow in root occurs via apoplast as options 1 cortical cells are living, cortical cells are loosely arranged, 3 cortical cells are thin walled, option 4 all the above. So all these are the answers and this option 4. Mass flow of water occurs due to which properties of water? Options 1 surface area, 2 root pressure, 3 cohesion only, 4 cohesion and adhesion. See, mass flow of water occurs due to the cohesion and adhesion. Cohesion in the sense it is the mutual force of attraction between water molecules, and adhesion in the sense inside the xylem these water molecules will be having a force of attraction towards the inner walls of this xylem. So this is known as adhesion, and due to these properties only mass flow of water occurs here. And then next, transport of food materials in higher plants takes place through option 1 trichates, 2 transfusion tissue, 3 companion cells, 4 sieve elements, sucrose from zinc. Sucrose from zinc. So transport of food materials in higher plants takes place through. So it takes place through the sieve elements, sucrose from zinc. So option 4. So here transport of food materials in higher plants takes place through the sieve elements. See, when we look at the structure of phloem, this is the sieve tube and here comes the companion cells. So transportation of food occurs through this sieve tubes, and here lies the sieve pores. So through this what happens, it will be moving from source to sink. So from sucrose they have given, it is nothing but the source to sink. So option 4. And next, 1. A plant is girdled. Options 1. The root and shoot die at the same time. 2. The shoots die first. 3. The root die first. 4. Neither root nor shoot will die. So what happens when a plant is girdled? What do you mean by girdling? Removal of the bark, that is until the phloem. Only xylem will be present like this. So what happens when we remove this bark? So first of all, food materials are synthesized by the leaves. So leaves are synthesizing, and these food materials will be reaching towards the roots through the phloem. But when this phloem is removed, food materials accumulates at the top of this girdle, and thus these roots will not be getting any food materials, and thus first roots will die. Option 3. When roots die, automatically whole plant will die. Which of the following plant factors affects transpiration? Options 1. Temperature, light, humidity, wind, speed. 2. Number and distribution of stomata, number of open stomata, temperature. 3. Canopy structure, number and distribution of stomata, and humidity of air. 4th one, canopy structure, water, status of plants, number and distribution of stomata, and number of stomata open, percentage. So option 1, temperature, light, humidity. So they are asking about the plant factors, that means internal factors. These are the external factors. So internal factors in the sense it depends upon the canopy structure, water, availability of water, status of plants, and number and distribution of the stomata. So how many number of stomata are present? If more are present, transpiration percentage will be more, like that. Option 4. For the next question they have given a table. See, here they has given the property, and here they has given the types of movement, that is simple diffusion, facilitated, as well as active. So now let us compare this. We have to find the incorrect match. Respond to inhibitors. So in case of simple diffusion, here they will not respond to the inhibitors, and facilitated diffusion, transport, here they respond to the inhibitors. Of course, yes, if inhibitors are present they respond, and thus the facilitated diffusion, when the inhibitors are present, it will be lowered. Whereas in active transport also, the membranes also responds to the inhibitors. And then next, takes place along the gradient. See, simple diffusion, it takes place along the gradient, and thus it does not require any energy. Facilitated diffusion also same, it takes place along the gradient, but active transport, it does not take place along the gradient, it always occurs against the gradient. Next, under hormonal regulation. Simple diffusion is not under hormonal regulation. Even facilitated diffusion is also not, whereas active transport is under hormonal regulation. They has given like this, but it is wrong. 4th one, downhill transport. See, in simple diffusion, downhill transport, that means molecules moves from the region of H higher towards lower concentration, whereas in facilitated diffusion also same, but in case of active it is not, it is uphill transport. So which is the wrongly matched, that is 3rd one, under hormonal regulation. Usually simple diffusion and facilitated are under hormonal regulation, whereas active transport is not. Next question, over smaller distances, substance move by. Option 1, diffusion. 2, cytoplasmic streaming. 3, active transport. Option 4, all the above. So all the above is the option. Next, uniport, symport and antiport are types of. Option 1, simple diffusion. 2, active transport. 3, facilitated diffusion. 4, osmosis. So these are all the types of facilitated diffusion. Option 3. Read the following statements and find out the incorrect statement. Option 1, water will move from system containing water at lower water potential to the one having higher water potential. 2, the greater the concentration of water in a system, greater is its kinetic energy or water potential. 3. Net movement of water molecules occurs from the system with higher energy towards the system with lower energy. And fourth one, in liquid and solids form, water molecules are in random motion that is both rapid and constant. So which is the incorrect statement? Here water will move from system containing water at low water potential to the one having higher water potential. But always water moves from the region of its higher water potential towards the region of its lower water potential, and this is option 1. It is the correct option and wrong statement. Next, osmotic pressure is the function of the options 1. Solute concentration, solvent concentration. Third, both 1 and 2. Fourth, none of the above. So osmotic pressure is the function of solute concentration, option 1. Next, solute potential of a solution is always options 1 lesser than 0, 2 is equal to 0, third between 0.1 to 1.0, 4 is less than 0. Solute potential of a solution is always less than 0, option 1. Next, water potential increases due to options 1 addition of solutes, 2 evaporation, 3 afforestation, 4 pressure. Water potential it always increases due to the pressure, option 4. Next, the force which determines the flow of water from one cell to another cell is options 1 DPD, that means diffusion pressure deficit. Second, Turgor pressure. Third, wall pressure. Fourth, osmotic pressure. So here what do you mean by deficit? See, diffusion pressure is nothing but the pressure exerted by the diffusing molecule is known as diffusion pressure. See here, when we take the two systems, here in this we have taken the solution in the sense it will be having solute molecules, and here we have taken pure water. So these molecules, they exhibit certain, these are the solutes, here pure water molecules are present. So these pure water molecules, they will exhibit certain pressure when diffusing from higher concentration towards the lower concentration. So diffusion pressure deficit in the sense the system is deficient of this diffusion pressure. So this determines the movement of water from one cell to another, option 1. A cell placed in a solution get deplasmolized. The solution is options 1 hypertonic, 2 hypotonic, 3 diatonic, 4 isotonic. Deplasmolysis in the sense the cell will be absorbing water molecules again to become turgid. That means it is hypotonic solution, option 2.